Mr. Josh, we have the weapon mastery feature with weapons in the latest 1D&D that just came out last week, at least when we recorded this video. It's a new property type that each weapon has that unlocks special traits that the weapon has for characters that have this weapon mastery feature. And that's either going to be baked right into the class, like a fighter or a barbarian, or you could have access to that through a feat when you have access to choose a feat. So let's talk about the different ones that they have here. We've got Cleave, which is interesting. What does Cleave do?
Cleave basically says that if you hit a creature with a melee attack using this weapon, you can make an attack roll with the weapon against a second creature within 5 feet of the first that is also within your reach. On a hit, the second creature takes the weapon's damage, but don't add your ability modifier to that damage unless the modifier is negative. You can only make this extra attack once per turn. That's kind of cool. I mean, essentially, it's like a free extra attack once per turn, which is kind of nice.
Kind of reminds me of what dual wielding is in the original version of the game, and then kind of like what it was in the past, where you didn't have to use your bonus action. It was baked right in, and now that's kind of different with other stuff, but that's a different video. But yeah, you get 2 attacks at level 1. If you're a level 1 fighter, level 1 barbarian, pick a big weapon like Great Axe. You can hit 2 creatures. That's nice. That's pretty strong.
Yeah, and if you're a big fan of reach like I am, I like the way it explains it is within 5 feet of the first creature, but also within your reach. So it doesn't have to be within 5 feet of you; it just has to be in your reach.
There's a lot of features that get really clunky with that. So yes, this good. Jakey like. All right, let's move on to Flex. When you hit with a melee attack using this weapon, you deal its versatile damage even if you're wielding it with one hand. So, for example, if I'm using a longsword, that's a pretty classic versatile weapon where sometimes you're wielding it with one hand, sometimes you're wielding it with 2. You just always deal the 1d10. That's kind of nice. I mean, a lot of sword and board people, I think it's like you move from the d8 and you're like, oh, well, now I got double digits. Here we go. I did it. I'm playing with the big boys. That's simple. I like it. Obviously, since it's a versatile thing, it's got to be on the versatile property, but I like that.
Yeah, it's nothing crazy there, but it's nice. That's exactly what it is. It's just nice. Not anything wowing, but you're like, hey, nice.
Nice.
Next one we have here is Graze. If your attack roll with this weapon misses a creature, you could deal damage to that creature equal to the ability modifier you use to make the attack roll. This damage is the same type dealt by the weapon, and the damage can't be increased in any way other than increasing the ability modifier.
Oh, so this is pretty reliable here. So instead of getting extra attacks, it's kind of like just more accurate in a way. Yeah, so you're not going to get like your Hunter's Mark damage or your Hex damage or something like that if you had some kind of fun build in that way. But if you get a nice beefy modifier, you're still dealing damage.
Sometimes the best ability is your availability.
Ooh,
I feel
like
like that's true of an attack too. If your attack hits instead of misses, even if you're not getting anything crazy with it, a hit is better than a miss.
And this is going to be like the minion buster. I know minions are like a 4E thing, but there are definitely creatures out there like kobolds. And I mean, is it almost like a guaranteed one shot if you have, that 20, you happen to roll to your 18 and now you got your max modifier right away. That's kind of interesting. Next up, we've got Nick. And that says when you make the extra attack of the light property, you can make it as part of the attack action instead of as a bonus action. You can still make this extra attack only once per turn. So again, kind of going back to the dual wielding, it's not like you have to spend your bonus action, which I think really works nicely with Vex, which we're going to get into later. Rogues are going to be ye old Nick and Vex combos. I think it's like a must. It's like a must-have, if you ask me.
It's pretty interesting the way that they have this laid out here, because what that tells me is what they had previously for 1D&D or the rules update, which is completely different, I guess what we're calling it now. But previously, it was just an attack. If you were dual wielding, then you're making your 2 attacks, and it's just 1 attack. I guess they're going back to the regular attack plus your bonus action plus bonus action. But if they're giving you the tools to still be able to make 2 attacks with just 1 attack, I guess that's pretty good. I'll take that.
Yeah, I agree.
Another fun option here is push. If you hit a creature with this weapon, you could push that creature up to 10 feet away from you if it is no more than 1 size larger than you. Pretty straightforward, but it's nice to just have that free. because that's very similar to the pushing attack, which is a martial maneuver from the Battle Master
I was
subclass.
just thinking that.
And now you just have it. As long as your weapon has that on it and you have access to these masteries, then that's it.
Curious to see what the new Battle Master looks like or what maneuvers look like, because this is just automatic. Or if you're going to add that to it, then you can have extra layers on top of it, which is pretty cool.
You know what's fun about this? It kind of reinforces the old first edition, second edition mentality of you're going into a dungeon and you have like a golf bag with different weapons for different situations.
Give me my 3-iron.
Yeah, exactly.
But you know what? Your weapon choice should matter. And I like that this is another way to layer that into it, because previously, if you think about it, like, oh, I got a Warhammer, I've got a longsword, I've got a battle axe. They're all D8s. We're going to deal different damage type. Well, not the longsword battle axe, but this is another way to differentiate what you might be looking for, which is nice. Moving on to sap. If you hit a creature with this weapon, that creature has disadvantage on its next attack roll before the start of your next turn. You want to talk about a way to protect either yourself or your allies? This is a pretty good way to do it. Very simple and straightforward, but actually feels really strong to me.
Yeah, like that's very, very, very strong. Throw that on a bow. Let your striker just
just pepper him with arrows. It's cover fire. That's kind of cool, actually, in a way.
Yeah. Do you want to tank with but not tank, but I mean, watch our series that we did on Master in Combat, because stopping someone from making attacks is, in a way, a form of tanking. Anyway, we have slow next. If you hit a creature with this weapon and deal damage to the creature, you can reduce its speed by 10 feet until the start of your next turn. If you hit the creature more than once with this property, the speed reduction doesn't exceed 10 feet. That's very cool. Almost like a stagger, but maybe less effective. You know, you're hitting someone and they can't move as fast, which makes sense because they're getting smacked around.
Well, it's kind of like Ray of Frost in a way.
Yeah.
One interesting thing is I think characters with extra attack, you put this on 2, which could be nice. If you had someone with slow weapon and someone with the push weapon, if you were ranged, man, you could just keep getting away. Just keep backing up. You'll never catch me, nerd.
That'd be pretty cool.
Moving on to Topple. If you hit a creature with this weapon, you can force the creature to make a Constitution saving throw with a DC equal to 8 plus your proficiency bonus and the ability modifier you use to make the attack roll. On a failed save, the creature has the prone condition. Why can't they just say you knock them prone? That's what I say, but that's probably because you want to be specific there. I think it's interesting they put the saving throw on Topple, but not on push. I would think they both should have a saving throw, but it's at least something to test, which is exactly what we're doing here.
I see the reasoning for a saving throw for both. Topple is definitely way more powerful.
Oh, yeah.
You know, everyone's getting advantage. Yeah, exactly. So if it's going to be on one and not the other, I understand why it's Topple, but I could definitely see, I could see in a final version some more saves getting thrown in here. And last but certainly not least, we have Vex. If you hit a creature with this weapon and deal damage to that creature, you have advantage on your next attack roll against that creature before the end of your next turn.
Woo!
Pretty strong.
This is must-have for rogues. I know if anybody knows me and my issues with rogues, I want at least a little bit better of a path to dealing sneak attack on your own. And this is exactly what I was talking about earlier. If you have a Nick weapon and pair it with a Vex weapon, you can do your little thing and you're right there. Oh, got an advantage on the next one with the Vex, and then bam, out comes the Nick weapon for free. Sneak attack all on my own.
Pretty nice.
That's a big one.
Those were the mastery properties from One D&D or the rules update or whatever we're calling this now. I think it's cool to see some changes being made. Everybody knows I love my martial characters, and I've been wanting some extra maneuvers or just anything to make weapons special. And this definitely is a step in the right direction, in my opinion. But we want to know what you think. So let us know in the comments. And if you want to see more videos from us, or specifically if you're interested in more One D&D content, we actually went over the classes. So click here or anywhere, and you can watch those videos.